Hello dear students, we are observing the Pharmacy Act 1948 where the explanation of Pharmacy Act related with the various definition, Constitution of Pharmacy Council of India where elected members, nominated members, ex officio member, where elected members were again we are going to revise 6 members elected by UGC, out of which generally they are teacher from the various granted colleges, maybe teacher of the subject pharmaceutical chemistry, pharmacology, pharmacognosy or pharmaceutics from the recognized university or colleges of degree or diploma. Again, one member elected by the Medical Council of India, among themselves one member elected by the State Pharmacy Council, while in case of nominated members, 6 members nominated by the central government, at least 4 should be registered pharmacists, while one representative of UGC and AICT respectively, one registered member as a pharmacist of each state which is nominated by the central government, while ex officio member consists of the Director General of Health Services of India, Drug Controller of India and Director of Central Drug Laboratory. After completion of this, we are having the explanation related with the staff component, President, Vice President, 5 other elected. After completion, function of the PCI explanation already is given to you, where the main function to regulate the profession of pharmacy, to prescribe the minimum standards of education, to regulate the educational standard by observing by appointing the various inspector to inspect the premises where this pharmacist education is given. Again, the explanation with the various points of view regarding the other function to maintain the central register of pharmacists throughout the India, as well as other recognize the qualification granted outside the territories, as well as any other function assigned by the central government should be carried out by this Pharmacy Council of India, where the explanation of staff and all these things are already completed. Function of PCI is completed. Now we are to address the explanation related with the maintenance of approval, withdrawal of institution. While the approval or withdrawal of institution, whenever approval procedure to be followed for approval for an institution providing the course of study of pharmacy, that is application is given by the institution to PCI that we are interested to open such institute. Then what will be the next step? PCI appoint some inspector for the inspection, and these inspectors provided a report of inspection. If PCI satisfies this report, then he is given the approval, and approval is given, that is declare the declaration in official gazette should be carried out. Many times where till that the PCI has right to give the approval to various institutions, but apart from another side, withdrawal of approval also should be carried out by the PCI, and generally that is in executive committee. If the executive committee reports to the central council that an institution or authority holding an approved courses of study of examination does not comply the requirement or may give notice during that time, does not continue to be conformatory with the education regulation, then central council may give notice to the authority to concern to the institution. Non-compliances with education regulation during that time Notice issued by the Central Council, notice it is issued by the PCI to that institution, and the said authority then should make a representation within 3 months from the receipt of such notice forward to the Central Council through the state government. Taking into the consideration representation received from authority concerned or any observation, then state government may think to take the council and to make the council may declare that the courses of study or examination shall be deemed to be approved only on fulfillment of specified conditions. During that time, generally approval and withdrawal both are the work which is carried out by the Pharmacy Council of India. Now the approval of qualification granted outside the India or outside the territories, that is central government, central council, if satisfied any qualification in pharmacy granted by an authority outside the territories of this act extend, afford a sufficient guarantee of the requirement, skill and knowledge, may declare such a qualification to be approved as a qualification for the purpose of qualifying for registration under this act. If granted before or after specified date, no person other than citizen of India possessing such a qualification shall be deemed to be qualified for registration. Citizens of other countries holding qualification granted outside this act shall be registrable in this country when an Indian national holding the same qualification by law allowed to enter and practice profession of pharmacy in that country. म्हणजे काय होतंय की एखादा जो इंडियन ओरिजिनचा माणूस आहे त्याला इथे फार्मासिस्ट म्हणून जॉब करायचा आहे, अशा वेळी काय करताय PCI, क्वालिफिकेशन इन फार्मसी ग्रांटेड आउटसाइड द इंडिया कॅन बी रजिस्टर्ड बाय द PCI. दिस इज ॲप्लिकेबल टू इंडियन सिटीजन्स ओनली. की भारताबाहेर, तो भारताचा नागरिक आहे परंतु भारताबाहेर त्याचं रजिस्ट्रेशन झालेलं आहे, नंतर तो इथे PCIला अप्लाय करायला रजिस्टर्ड आहे. आणि एखादा फॉरेन नॅशनॅलिटीचा आहे, दुसऱ्या देशाचा आहे आणि त्याला इथे रजिस्ट्रेशन करायचं आहे, तर अशा वेळी काय करेल इंडियन गव्हर्नमेंट की इंडियन नॅशनल होल्डिंग जेव्हा आपल्या इकडच्या सेम माणसाला अशीच डिग्री आहे आणि त्याला तिकडे रजिस्ट्रेशन करायचं, जर त्या गव्हर्नमेंटने त्याला तिकडे रजिस्ट्रेशन करायची परमिशन दिली तेव्हाच आपण त्याला इकडे रजिस्ट्रेशन करू देतो. मीन्स दॅट इज द क्वालिफिकेशन विच आर ग्रांटेड फॉर द registration to this act should be extended. Now the maintenance of central register under the provision of Pharmacy Act 1976 and PCI is required to maintain a central register. The central register has to maintain by the central council and has to revise suitably from time to time, published in the official gazette of India. Now our next important constitution, that is State Pharmacy Council. Now the Central Council or Pharmacy Council of India already were observed. Now the state, each and every state has to necessary to maintain the State Pharmacy Council, and so that what is the same constitution, near about little bit difference regarding the constitution of State Pharmacy Council. That is, constitution of State Pharmacy Council consists of elected member, again nominated member and ex officio member. In case of these 6 members elected from among themselves by the state government, who should be registered pharmacist of the state, and 1 member elected by the medical council of state. First, that is the elected member. काय काय बघितलंय आपण याच्यात, स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिलमध्ये 2 लोक आहेत की कोणकोणते की 6 मेंबर्स आहेत की जे काय आहेत रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट आहे आणि कोण मेंटेन करते त्यांना स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंट इलेक्टेड करते. आणि 1 मेंबर should be elected by the Medical Council of India, Medical Council of State among themselves. 5 members nominated by the, आता nominated member, 5 members nominated by state government who shall at least 3 person possessing degree or diploma in pharmacy or pharmaceutical chemistry or registered pharmacist. काय आहे की 3 person काय पाहिजे, डिग्री और डिप्लोमा इन फार्मसी और फार्मास्युटिकल केमिस्ट्री और रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट. म्हणजे त्याच्यात किती होते नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर, पण सेंट्रल काउन्सिलमध्ये 3 की काय होतं, 4 टीचर होते, 6 लोक कोण होते नॉमिनेटेड, की 4 त्याच्यातनं आउट ऑफ 4 काय होते रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट होते. एक एक कोण होतं एक की जनरली रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट फ्रॉम ईच स्टेट, आणि 1 कोण होतं, एक UGC आणि AICT रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह होता. हे नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर होते. इकडे नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर काय एकच आहे, 5 मेंबर्स नॉमिनेटेड बाय स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंट. ॲटलिस्ट 3 शुड पॉसेस डिग्री और डिप्लोमा इन फार्मसी. आता याचे एक्स ऑफिशियल आहे, चीफ ॲडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह मेडिकल ऑफिसर ऑफ द स्टेट. सेकंड, द ऑफिसर इन चार्ज ऑफ ड्रग कंट्रोलर ऑर्गनायझेशन ऑफ स्टेट अँड गव्हर्नमेंट ॲनालिस्ट. काय GA गव्हर्नमेंट ॲनालिस्ट. आता हे झालं स्टेट. आता जॉईंट स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिल, 2 or more states enter into an agreement to form a joint state pharmacy council, that is in that first elected member registered pharmacist, that is provide in the agreement not less than 3 and not more than 5 members elected from the registered pharmacist of each participating state. म्हणजे प्रत्येक राज्याचे 3 किंवा 5 पर्यंत, 5 पेक्षा जास्त चालणार नाही. कोण पाहिजे, ते रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट पाहिजेत, की जे काय असतात इलेक्टेड मेंबर आहेत जॉईंट स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिलचे. आणि परत कोण आहे, ॲग्रीमेंट प्रोव्हाइड नॉट लेस दॅन 2 or not more than 4 members nominated by each participating government, of whom more than half should not possess degree or diploma in pharmacy, should possess degree or diploma in pharmacy or pharmaceutical chemistry or registered pharmacist. 1 member elected by the members of medical council from among themselves of each participating state. परत तेच चीफ ॲडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह मेडिकल ऑफिसर, ऑफिसर इन चार्ज ऑफ ड्रग कंट्रोलर ऑफ ऑर्गनायझेशन ऑफ स्टेट अँड गव्हर्नमेंट ॲनालिस्ट ऑफ ईच पार्टिसिपेटिंग स्टेट. म्हणजे सेम इथे जॉईंट अँड स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिलमधलं डिफरन्स कळलं तुम्हाला. इथे एका स्टेटसाठी लिहायचं आहे, इथे काय आहे, जेवढे 2 किंवा 2पेक्षा जेवढ्या राज्यांनी याच्यात करार केलेला आहे तेवढे रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह काय पाहिजे. Where 2 or more states enter into agreement whereby the state pharmacy council of one state serves the needs to the other state, then membership of state pharmacy council may be adjuncted by not more than 2 persons nominated by each state. Now the president and vice president are elected by the members from among themselves for the period of 5 years. If casual vacancy is filled by the nomination or re-election, members are eligible for re-election possesses an executive committee similar to the central government. ठीक आहे. आता स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिलचे फंक्शन काय आहे, फर्स्ट इन्स्पेक्शन बाय स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिल, सेकंड फंक्शन आहे मेंटेनन्स ऑफ रजिस्टर, थर्ड एंट्री अँड रिमूवल ऑफ नेम्स. आता फर्स्ट फंक्शन काय की फंक्शन इन्स्पेक्शन बाय स्टेट काउन्सिल. द स्टेट फार्मसी काउन्सिल अपॉइंट सुटेबल इन्स्पेक्टर to inspect premises where drugs are compounded and dispensed, inquiry regarding the registration of a person, investigate any complaint and institute prosecutions. Second main function, maintenance of register. The first and subsequent register of pharmacists in state prepared and maintained by the state government and the state council before the end of June of each year are required to pay the PCI a sum equivalent to 1/4 of the fees released by them during the period of 12 months ending March 31st in that year. Register of pharmacists particularly. Entry and removal, and all applications, entry and removal of names of pharmacists. Whenever all application for registration should be addressed to the Register of State Pharmacy Council. If the application has required qualification for registration, then he shall direct his name to be entered in the register. Upon entry, a certificate of registration is issued. A person whose name has been removed from the register to any state shall not be entitled to registration unless the state council gives it consent. Renewal rules. आता कसं आहे, removal of the name. The name of pharmacist may be removed from the register of following counts: if his name has been entered in the register by error, if he has been convicted to any offences in professional respect, if a person employed by himself in convicted any offences or guilt for infamous of conduct of this act, and 30-day period of appealing, surrender to the certificate of registration and published in official gazette. कसं का रिमूव्ह करताय की त्याचं बाय मिस्टेक एररने त्याचं नाव टाकलं गेलं असेल, त्याचं नाव रिमूव्ह करता येतं आपल्याला, किंवा त्याने एखादा काही गुन्हा केला असेल तर त्या फार्मसी प्रोफेशनशी रिलेटेड एखादा गुन्हा केला असेल तर त्याचं नाव काढून टाकण्यात येईल, किंवा आपल्या ॲक्टची काहीतरी बदनामी होईल, इनफेमस कंडक्ट केलं काही तर तरी देखील त्याचं नाव काढून टाकण्यात येईल. काढून टाकण्यात येण्याच्या आधी काय असतं, त्याला 30 दिवसाचा कालावधी दिलेला असतो जस्टिफिकेशन करायला. जर 30 दिवसात त्याचा गुन्हा प्रूव्ह झाला, क्राईम प्रूव्ह झाला, ऑफेन्सेस प्रूव्ह डीम झाले तर तो गिल्ट कन्सिडर केला जातो आणि त्याला त्याचं सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन सरेंडर करून वेगवेगळ्या ऑफिशियल गॅझेटमध्ये डिक्लेअर केलं जातं की याचं नाव रिमूव्ह केलं आहे असं. That is printing of the registers. Printing of the register carried out on the first day of April following the beginning of the Pharmacy Act 1950. Thereafter, each year after the 1st April, the register will arrange for reprinting showing the supplement to the register. These registers and supplements are deemed to be the proof of the person whose name or content are registered pharmacist. काय होतं आहे की त्याचं नाव काय होतं, रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट म्हणून कंटेंट होतं आहे, त्याचं नाव राहील. जनरली now towards our next important point, that is registration of pharmacists, as well as that is the explanation related with the various explanation related with the education regulation in India. Now the Pharmacy Act deals with the explanation of education regulation. Pharmacy Act 1948, the Central Council, after approval of the central government, may make regulation prescribing the minimum standard of the education required for qualification as a pharmacist, called as education regulation. काय होते कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में प्रिस्क्राइब मिनिमम स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ एजुकेशन रिक्वायर्ड फॉर क्वालिफिकेशन ॲज अ फार्मासिस्ट कॉल्ड ॲज अ एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन. काय असतं एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशनमध्ये, फर्स्ट मिनिमम क्वालिफिकेशन फॉर द ॲडमिशन टू द कोर्स, की किती 10वी पास पाहिजे का मी 12वी पास पाहिजे हे कोण डिसाईड करेल, एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन. कोणी तयार केलं ते सेंट्रल गव्हर्नमेंटने. सेकंड, नेचर अँड पिरियड ऑफ कोर्स ऑफ स्टडीज. एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन काय डिसाईड करते पहिले की ज्याला क्वालिफाईड फार्मसिस्ट बनायचं आहे, ज्याला क्वालिफिकेशन पाहिजे फार्मसिस्टची, तो बेसिकली त्याचं काय रिक्वायरमेंट राहील, त्याने CET दिलेलं राहील का काय राहील, मिनिमम क्वालिफिकेशन काय राहील त्याचं एक्सप्लेनेशन. सेकंड इम्पॉर्टंट पॉईंट काय राहील की त्याचा की नेचर अँड पिरियड ऑफ कोर्स ऑफ स्टडी, किती वर्षाचा कोर्स राहील की तो कंप्लीट केल्यावर तो फार्मासिस्ट म्हणून आयडेंटिफाय होईल. थर्ड, नेचर अँड पिरियड ऑफ प्रॅक्टिकल ट्रेनिंग टू बी अंडरटेकन फॉर द completion of the regular course, not less than 75 hours, covers in a minimum of 3 months in an institution. hospital, pharmacy or dispensaries are recognized by central government, not less than 75 hours, covered in a minimum 3 months. 75 तास कधी कवर्ड झालं पाहिजे? मिनिमम 3 महिन्यात. The subject of examination and next that is प्रॅक्टिकल ट्रेनिंग किती दिवसाचं पाहिजे, कुठला कोर्स त्याने कंप्लीट केलेला पाहिजे, काय बेसिक क्वालिफिकेशन त्याची काय पाहिजे या कोर्सला ॲडमिशन घ्यायला. नेक्स्ट की कुठले सब्जेक्ट त्याने अटेंड केले पाहिजे, द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ एक्झामिनेशन अँड स्टँडर्ड अटेंड देअर and the equipment and facilities to be provided by the institution for the students undergoing approved courses of study. म्हणजे एज्युकेशन रेग्युलर काय की दॅट इज called as a what do you mean? That is central council with the approval of central government may make some regulation for the prescribing the minimum standard of education pre-qualified education required for qualification as a pharmacist called education regulation. And education regulation first important prescribe minimum standards, minimum qualification for admission to this course, then that is nature and period of course of study, nature and period of practical training, then subject of examination of the with the standard, and next that is the equipment and facilities provided by the institution for the courses of study undergoing as a pharmacist. Next that is the condition fulfilled by the institution giving practical training and condition fulfilled by the authority holding approved examinations. That is, all this work should be assigned by the education regulation. Condition central government, central council before submitting the education regulation or any amendment therefore, as the case may be, central government for approval send copies of draft of education regulation in all states government and takes into the consideration any comments of any state government received within 3 months from the furnishing the copies of central council. And then the education regulation is published in official gazette by the central government as directed by the central council. The executive committee from time to time reports to the central council for the efficacy of education regulation and may recommend it to the central council such amendments. Therefore, application of regulation to the state after the constitution of state council, after consultation with the state council, the state government may at any time by notification in the official gazette declare that education regulation shall take effect in the state. If however no such declaration has been made, the education regulation shall take effect in the state after 3 years from the date of constitution of the state council. कसं होतं आहे की काय एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन आणि कसं त्याचं एक्सप्लेनेशन. मेनली एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन काय आहे की एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन एक्सप्लेन करते तुम्हाला की किती मिनिमम किती एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन प्रिस्क्राईब द स्टँडर्ड फॉर द क्वालिफिकेशन रिकग्नाइज ॲज अ फार्मासिस्ट, मिनिमम रिक्वायरमेंट टू बी कन्सिडर्ड फॉर द क्वालिफिकेशन ॲज अ फार्मासिस्ट. मग ते कसं रेग्युलेट करतं आहे की फर्स्ट दॅट इज द minimum qualification required for the course of pharmacy. Second, nature and period of study for the course. Third, nature and period of practical training means 75 hours completed within 3 months from the recognized chemist, druggist or institution. While next that is the various facilities which are provided by this educational institute to be conducted or to be declared as a running as a pharmacy course, while fulfillment of other requirement, explanation of fulfillment of condition fulfilled by the institution giving practical training and condition fulfilled by the authority holding approval examination. कंडिशन कोणासाठी, प्रॅक्टिकल ट्रेनिंग देतो आहे का नाही, प्रॅक्टिकल होत आहेत का नाही, आणि दुसरं जिथे एक्झाम होते त्या कंडिशन सगळ्या कंप्लीट केलेल्या आहेत का नाही इन्स्टिट्यूटने, ते सगळं कोणाच्या अंडर येतं आहे, एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशनच्या अंडर. आणि एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन जेव्हा सेंट्रल काउन्सिल सेंट्रल गव्हर्नमेंटच्या मताने जेव्हा काढते तेव्हा प्रत्येक स्टेटला त्याच्या कॉपी प्रोव्हाइड करते. आणि जर स्टेटला काही असेल की हे चुकीचं हे रॉंग आहे तर 3 महिन्याच्या आत स्टेटने त्याच्यावर कमेंट्स पाठवायचे. अदरवाईज 3 महिन्याच्या आत जर कुठलंही कमेंट नाही आलं काउन्सिलकडे तर काउन्सिल ते एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन इफेक्टिव्ह आहे म्हणून कन्सिडर करेल. दॅट इज द एक्सप्लेनेशन अबाउट द एज्युकेशन रेग्युलेशन. So dear student, today we are completing about the explanation, detailed explanation regarding the what is the pharmacy council, what is the function of PCI, what are the differentiation, different constitution of state pharmacy council as well as joint state pharmacy council, joint state pharmacy council, explanation function of this, and formation of executive committee, explanation of various works, functions of a state pharmacy council, as well as the explanation of education regulations along with the detailed explanations. So in the next lecture we are able to explain about the various provisions of this act. Generally the special provision of this act generally affected, permitting the pharmacists affected by the partition of 1947, also the registry recognition of state in 1956, provision attained for a period of 2 years. State government were empowered to extend the period of operation up to another 2 years. Means regarding the explanation, various function, preparation of register as well as registration of pharmacies, that last point we are observing, that is how one should proceed as a registration as a pharmacist, and the offenses and penalties that will complete the Pharmacy Act 1948. Generally, registration of pharmacies, the Pharmacy Act 1948 provides for the registration of pharmacies in all states in India. As soon as this chapter effective in the state, the first register of pharmacies is required to prepared by the state government concerned. The state pharmacy council is to be constituted soon after the preparation of first register. Once the state council has been constituted, the register to be handed over to it. The central council then has responsible for maintenance of register. The register shall include the following particulars: full name and residential address of the registered person, the date of his entry in the register, his qualification for registration, his professional address, and any particulars if prescribed. For the preparation of first register, state government by notification in the official gazette constitute registrational tribunal consisting 3 persons and also appoint registrar who act as the secretary of registrational tribunal. काय करतंय सेंट्रल गव्हर्नमेंट, रजिस्ट्रेशन करण्यासाठी फर्स्ट रजिस्टर्ड प्रिपेअर करण्यासाठी 3 लोकांचं मंडळ प्रिपेअर करतंय. त्याला काय सांगितलं गेलं आहे, रजिस्ट्रेशन ट्रिब्युनल. त्याच्यात 1 पर्सन कोण असतो, सेक्रेटरी असतो त्या मंडळाचा. State government then by notification specified date or before which application for registration accompanied with prescribed fee is made to the registrational tribunal. ज्याला रजिस्ट्रेशन करायचं आहे त्याने ॲप्लिकेशन अलॉंग विथ द प्रिस्क्राईब फीज कोणाकडे पोचायला पाहिजे, ते मेड टू द रजिस्ट्रेशनल ट्रिब्युनल. द रजिस्ट्रेशनल ट्रिब्युनल examines every application कसं आहे त्यांच्याकडे मिळालं आहे, आता ते काय करतात, एक्झामाइन एव्हरी ॲप्लिकेशन रिसिव्ड बिफोर स्पेसिफाईड डेट अँड देन द ॲप्लिकंट इज क्वालिफाईड फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन डायरेक्टली एंट्री ऑफ द नेम ऑफ द ॲप्लिकंट ऑन द रजिस्टर. काय करतं आहे, त्याचं नाव डायरेक्टली काय करतं आहे, एंट्री करून घेतं आहे. The first register so prepared is then published in a manner directed by the state government. Any person aggrieved by the decision of registration should publish register may appeal within 16 days of publication to the authority appointed by the central government, appointed by the state government in his behalf. एनी पर्सन, काही एखाद्याला वाद झाला असेल, ॲग्रिवेशन झालं असेल, काय रजिस्ट्रेशन ट्रिब्युनलचं काय डिसिजन त्याला जर मान्य नसेल, काही वाद असेल, तर त्याने काय करायचं आहे की जसं रजिस्टर प्रिपेअर होतं आहे त्याच्या 60 दिवस झाल्यानंतर त्याच्या 60 दिवसाच्या आत स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंटला अप्लाय करायचं आहे. द रजिस्टर्ड अमेंड्स द रजिस्टर accordingly with the decision of authority mentioned above and thereupon issues to every person a certificate of registration in a prescribed form whose name is entered in the registered. काय करता है, एक सर्टिफिकेट इश्यू करता है. आफ्टर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ सेंट्रल काउंसिल दिस register is to be given into the custody and government directs to the credit application fees collected to the state council. Qualification for first entry on registered. First register. Qualification for entry on first register. A person who has attained age of 18 years entitled to his name in first register on payment of prescribed fee if he resides or carries his business or profession of pharmacy in the state should have following qualification. First, a degree or diploma in pharmacy or pharmaceutical chemistry or chemist or druggist of an Indian university or state government or prescribed qualification granted by an authority outside the India. काय डिग्री, डिप्लोमा इन फार्मसी और फार्मास्यूटिकल केमिस्ट्री और केमिस्ट और ड्रगिस्ट डिप्लोमा ऑफ एन इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटी or any other university to which it is granted by the state government. A degree of an Indian university, second qualification other than degree in pharmacy or pharmaceutical chemistry has been engaged in compounding of drug, hospital or a dispensary other place in which drugs are regularly dispensed, prescription of medical practitioner for a total period not less than 3 years in that. एखाद्याने कुठली डिग्री केलेली असेल, that is in the engage, a person has been engaged, degree in pharmacy, a degree of Indian university other than a degree in pharmacy. इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीची परंतु फार्मसीची डिग्री नाही, परंतु तो काय करतोय, कंपाऊंडिंग ऑफ ड्रगमध्ये रेग्युलरली डिस्पेन्स करतोय मेडिकल प्रॅक्टिशनर सोबत आणि 3 वर्षापेक्षा जास्त कालावधी त्याला झालेला आहे. अशा वेळी त्याचं नावसुद्धा काय आहे, रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट म्हणून कव्हर केलं जातं, ज्याचं नाव एंटर होतं आहे रजिस्ट्रेशनमध्ये. हॅज थर्ड इम्पॉर्टंट, हॅज pass an examination recognized as adequate by the state government for compounding and dispensing. दुसरं कुठलं तरी त्याने क्वालिफिकेशन पास केलेलं आहे आणि त्याला स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंटची मान्यता आहे and that is related with the compounding and dispensing of medication, then his name also entered into the first register. And next, last one, that is has not less than 5 years experience of compounding and dispensing in a pharmacy or dispensary other than other places in which drugs are regularly dispensed or prescribed of medical practitioner prior to the date notified by registrational tribunal receipt of the application for entry of the names on the first registration. काय आहे की एखाद्याला डिग्री डिप्लोमा फार्मसीचा तरी त्याचं नाव फर्स्ट रजिस्टरमध्ये येतं आहे की स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंटने त्याला क्वालिफिकेशन ग्रांट केली आहे किंवा त्याचा डिग्री अँड डिप्लोमा इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीपेक्षा दुसऱ्या याचा आहे, परंतु फार्मसीचा नाही. कंटिन्यू 3 वर्षापासून तो एंगेज आहे डिस्पेन्सिंग करण्यात, कंपाऊंडिंग करण्यात मेडिसिनचा, तरी त्याचं नाव फर्स्ट रजिस्टर्डमध्ये एंटर होतं आहे, ज्याला स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंटची मान्यता आहे. नेक्स्ट की हॅज पास अन एक्झामिनेशन रेकग्नाइज बाय ॲडिक्वेट. रेकग्नाइज ॲज अ ॲडिक्वेट म्हणजे एखाद्याला वाटतं स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंटला की ही परीक्षा कंपाऊंडिंगनी डिस्पेन्सिंगची याने पास केलेली आणि ते सफिशियंट आहे याचं नाव एंट्री करायला, त्यालासुद्धा काय होतं आहे. आणि एखादा पर्सन 5 वर्षापासून नॉट लेस दॅन 5 years एक्सपिरियन्स ऑफ कंपाऊंडिंग अँड डिस्पेन्सिंग इन अ हॉस्पिटल then applying with the prescribed format to this registration tribunal, then his name should be able to enter in the first register. Now the subsequent register, that is after appointment of date to invite application entered in the state government before the education regulation have effective in state, a person who has completed his 18 years of age shall on payment of prescribed fee entitle his name in the register if he resides or carry out business or profession in the state and he has following qualification, that satisfies the condition prescribed for the registration, is registered pharmacist in another state and possesses a qualification for registration granted outside the territory to this act extend or at least matriculate. Then after the education regulation have effective in the state, person who has attained age of shall on payment of prescribed fee entitle his name in the register he reside to carry out his business in profession and pharmacy in the state, has passed an approved examination, possesses a qualification granted outside the territories of this act and is a registered pharmacist in another state. कोणाचं नाव होतं आहे की दुसऱ्या स्टेटमधला सबसिक्वेंट रजिस्टरमध्ये काय होतं, कोणाचं नाव येतं की जो पजेसेस अ क्वालिफिकेशन, की ज्याने ह्या क्वालिफिकेशन पजेस केलं आहे परंतु दुसऱ्या एरियातला आहे, काय दुसऱ्या राज्यातला आहे आणि दॅट इज अप्रूव्ड अन एक्झामिनेशन. ड्युरिंग दॅट टाईम हिज नेम शुड बी एंटर्ड इन द सबसिक्वेंट रजिस्टर. नाव द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट, दॅट इज द explanation of offenses and penalties, where the Pharmacy Act, last point from the chapter, that is offenses and penalties, that is 3 offenses and penalties are there generally. 3 to 4 is there. First, falsely claiming to be a registered pharmacist or uses in connection with his name any words or letters to subject that his name is entered in the register is punishable with fine up to 500 rupees on first conviction, and if again he person registered in the another state, again he has on subsequent on second conviction, fine up to 1000 rupees and or 6-month imprisonment or any other on subsequent conviction. Falsely claimed to be registered pharmacist. Registered pharmacist नाही आहे, परंतु केमिस्ट, ड्रगिस्ट, फार्मासिस्ट असे शब्द तो वापरतोय, त्याची प्रॅक्टिस करतोय, देतोय मेडिसिन, तर त्याला काय पनिशमेंट आहे, 500 रुपीज पहिल्या वेळेस. आणि जर दुसऱ्या वेळेस त्याने तसाच गुन्हा केला, एकदा समजून सांगितल्यावर त्याने ऐकलं नाही आहे, तर अशा वेळी काय होतं आहे, 1000 रुपीज फाईन किंवा 6 महिन्याचं इम्प्रिजमेंट किंवा मग दोघं. सेकंड, डिस्पेन्सिंग बाय अन अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. डिस्पेन्सिंग बाय की एखादा फार्मासिस्ट नाही आहे, the persons other than registered pharmacist dispensing any medicine for patient is liable for punishment with imprisonment up to 6 months or fine of up to 1000 rupees or both. काय होतं आहे, 6 महिन्याचं त्याला जेल होईल किंवा मग 1000 रुपये फाईन लागेल किंवा दोघं लागतील. डिस्पेन्सिंग बाय अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. पहिलं पेनल्टीज काय? फॉल्सली क्लेमिंग टू बी रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. ही रजिस्ट्रेशन, मी रजिस्टर्ड फार्मासिस्ट आहे, केमिस्ट आहे, ड्रगिस्ट आहे असे जो वर्ड यूज करतोय आणि नॉट रजिस्टर्ड इन a person who is registered pharmacist in another state who at the times falsely claiming, दुसऱ्या राज्यात तो आहे इथे क्लेम करतोय, दॅट इज त्याला काय फाईन अप टू 500 रुपीज ऑन फर्स्ट कन्व्हिक्शन. आणि दुसऱ्यांदा परत असं आढळलं तर फाईन अप टू ₹1000 ऑर इम्प्रिजमेंट अप टू 6 months. आणि सेकंड डिस्पेन्सिंग बाय अन अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन की जो रजिस्टर्ड नाही आहे त्याला काय 6 months ऑफ इम्प्रिजमेंट ऑर फाईन अप टू 1000 रुपीज ऑर बोथ. थर्ड, फेल्युअर टू सरेंडर सर्टिफिकेट इज ऑल्सो पनिशेबल with fine up to 50 rupees. And obstruction of state pharmacy council, that is whenever the pharmacist inspector doing his work, that is imprisonment up to 6 months or fine up to 1000 rupees or both. That is about the offenses and penalties. Now here we are ending this Pharmacy Act 1948. Thank you dear student for listening me carefully. Next time we'll proceed for the explanation of MCQ test on each chapter. Up till that is explanation of first chapter, that is legislation in India, general healthcare system in India, pharmaceutical ethics and pharmacy act. Now all the best for your sessional exam. Work hard and thank you for listening carefully the lecture. Thanks once again. ते बंद करायचं.